ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम सदाशिवसमारम्भां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः विषेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ प्रज्ञानां शुप्रदानैः स्थिरतरनिकरव्यापिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् स्तविष्टान् पुनरपि धिषणोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वाविशेषान् स्वपिति मधुरभुङ् मायया भोजयन्नः मायासङ्ख्यातुरीयं परममृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि। आत्मसत्यानुबोधेन न सङ्कल्प्यते यदा अमानस्तां तदा याति ग्राह्याभावे तदग्रहम्। अकल्पकमजं ज्ञानं ज्ञया भिन्नं प्रचक्षते ब्रह्मज्ञेयमजं नित्यम् अजेनाजं विबुध्यते। आत्मसत्यानुबोधेन यदा न संकल्प्यते अमानस्तां याति तदा ग्राह्य अभावे तदग्रहम्। The amanobhava or amanibhava is spoken about the absence of mind. मनोदृश्यमिदं द्वैतं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं मनसा हि अमनीभावे द्वैतं न एव उपलभ्यते. The amanibhava is actually the state of nirvikalpa samadhi or jivan mukti. The nirvikalpatvam is brahmaswarupa. So when we say nirvikalpa samadhi, it can also mean samadhiyate chittaha asmin nirvikalpe iti nirvikalpa samadhi. So the mind dwells in the nirvikalpa brahma. So which means the mind, when you say the mind dwells in nirvikalpam brahma, there is no attribute in Brahman. So the Brahman is not identified through a form or name as a limited entity. So there is no sakara vritti which is possible in Brahma. And in fact, the manas itself is there because of Brahma. So the mind cannot go and catch Brahman. So the amanibhava means you are actually going to the root of the mind. There is no, these are very figurative speech. When you say going to the root of the mind and all that, what is intended to be shown is the person resolves the avidya. And when you say resolves the avidya, resolves oneself. So basically falsifies. That is Amani Bhava. We are not talking about Manonasha like the yogis typically talk about, where they say Chittavritti Nirodha and mind will get destroyed and all that. We don't have to destroy the mind. When you see the fact that wherever the mind is, whatever objects which are being perceived, whatever experience is there, that experience is nothing but Brahman. Once that cognition has happened, then the Grahya Grahaka Bhava goes away. Grahya Grahaka is samsara, that is Dvayabhasam, that we just saw. This whole chapter is talking about Grahya Grahaka. Grahyam and Grahakam, these are the two padarthas. These are like, see, every text talks about the same thing in different way. So, Drigdrishta, Drigdrishyam, where Drashta and Drishyam are two objects. Or when we say Dvauhi Padarthau Atma Anatmanu. So, Atma and Anatma are the only two objects. Or instead of saying objects, we can say Padartha. There are only two, meanings of words. Padyate iti padam. Aneya padyate, by which you cognize something, it's a pada. And that pada leads to an artha. So if you actually look at all padas, there are only two padarthas which are possible. One is Atma, another is Anatma. And within Anatma, almost everything else comes other than Atma. So this is one way of saying the same thing. Here, the words used are Grahya and Grahaka. Grahaka, and in Bhagavad Gita we have Kshetra, Kshetrajna. So Grahya is Kshetram. Grahaka is Kshetrajna. So this Grahya Grahaka, these two padarthas, they are the reason for Dvayabhasam, the Dvaita Bhava. And once these two are resolved and seen as only Jnayavastu Brahma, which is Jnapti Jnanam, then there are no two padarthas. And then the entire manas is rooted in this jnanam that there is only Brahma, Shivamayam. Manodrishyam idam dvaitam yatkinchit sacharacharam. Manasohi amani bhave dvaitam naivopalabhyate. When the mind gains the amani bhava, there is no dvaita. And for that, this verse was used to show that the logic was given. Okay. So the manobhave dvaita bhavam, manobhave dvaita bhavam iti anvaya vidireka was shown. Invariable concomitance of mind and the jagat was shown there, saying that when the mind is resolved by yogic practices, or when you are in deep sleep, or through vairagya, viveka darshana, okay, all these through this, if the whenever mind is stopped, you don't see the jagat. So that was used to show that the mind and the jagat are same. So we said instead of using the mind, the experience can be used as a proper word anyway. So all that we had seen, even this one, Atma Satyanubodhena न संकल्पयते यदा अमनस्तां तदा याति ग्राह्य अभावे तदग्रहम्. This also we saw. How does this Amani Bhava happen? And Bhashikara showed Vacharambanam Vikaro Namadeyam Mrittika Ityeva Satyam. And by Shastracharya Upadesha Avabodha, that Atma Avabodha, when it happens, then there is no Sankalpa. Sankalpa is the root cause of everything, we saw that, right? So once that is there, Dahya Bhave Jwalanam Iva Agnehe Yada Yasmin Kale, like when there is no see the fire, the heat becomes fire when there is fuel. Otherwise, heat remains as heat, more as latent heat. So now it becomes fire because of the fuel, Indhanam only. So in the absence of fuel, it is just Swarupa only. So the Chaitanyam becomes this experience Jagat only when it goes and pervades the mind through which the world experience becomes manifest. So when the Amani Bhava happens, then Grahya Bhave tad manaha agraham grahana vikalpana varjitam bhavati. So there is no grahanam, there is no world experience. This till then the here we saw. Okay. Now akalpakamajam jnanam jnayabhinnam prachakshate ब्रह्मज्ञेयमजं नित्यमजेन अजं विबुध्यते अकल्पकम् अजं ज्ञानं ज्ञेयाभिन्नम्. That jnayam is Brahma. Next line it says Brahma jnayam, and that is ajam, nityam. So in the first line, jnanam jnayabhinnam akalpakam ajam Brahma nityam ajena ajam vibudhyate. So ajena ajam vibudhyate. Vibudhyate means is recognized, known, knowledge takes place. Bodha. Vibudhyate means bodha happens. Bodha of what? Ajam vibudhyate. The unmanifest, unborn, which is Brahma, that Brahma vibudhyate. The jnanam of this Brahman takes place. By what? Ajena. So for knowing the Brahman, through what do you know the Brahman? He says, Karika says, Ajena eva ajam vibudhyate. Swaprakasha vastu. Swaprakasham, you don't need, Bhashikara is going, he says towards the end, Nitya Prakasha Sarupaha iva Savita. Nitya Vijnana Ekarasa na Jnanantaram Apekshate. For you to see the sun, you don't need a torchlight, nor do you need, some big focus lights. Zoom in, then you will see the sun. We don't need to do all that. Nitya Vijnana Ekarasa Ghana is this Brahman. Whoever is trying to throw light on it, the Swarupa is Brahma. And it is Ghana, Ekarasa Ghana. So Ajena Ajam Vibudhyate. So from Ajam only, Ajam is known. And what is that Ajam? Akalpakam. Ajam. There is no Kalpana. Sarva Kalpana Varjitam. Bhashyakara is going to give the Vyutpatti. Sarva Kalpana Varjitam. Kalpana is that Manaha. The Grahyatvam. Grahyam. So all the objects that is you see a reality in all the experiences that you are having, as though there is a wall, there is a tree, there is sound, there is this upadesha taking place, there is somebody sitting and talking. All that is nama rupa. Is there a vastu in any of this? Go and see what the vastu is, the content of all these experiences. What is the content? The content is prajnapti alone, vijnanam alone. Therefore, there is no kalpana in the ajam actually. There is no, it's only superimposed. Nama deyam, nama matram. When it says vachalambanam, vikaro nama deyam means nama matrameva. It is only name. There is no substance like the pot. In front of your eyes, the pot disappears. Swamiji used to say this is the Rishi magic. In front of your eyes, the pot is there, and once the Rishi makes you see the fact, the pot disappears because there is as such no pot. All that is there is only clay. So when this whole Jagat Anubhava you are seeing, they disappear from a reality perspective. And your drishti, when it focuses on what is the content of every experience, you see the fact the content is prajnapti alone. Every one of that experience, whether it is spatial experience or time experience or object experience or emotion experience or the individual life, non-life, any which thing you take, the content of it is prajnapti alone. Therefore sarva kalpana varjitam. So the word akalpakam, ajam jnanam jnaya bhinnam prachakshate, ve brahma vidaha kathayanti. The jnanis say what? Jnaya bhinnam jnanam. Jnayam here does not mean grahya vastu. Jnayam is Jnayam Brahma, that which is to be known. The reality, what is Jnayam. That which is to be known, that is Brahma. In the next line, Brahma Jnayam Ajam Nityam Ajena Ajam Vibudhyate. Nityam means not does. We have seen this many times. It is not like it was always there. That is not this Nityam. This Nityam is because of which time itself is there. When the time itself is dependent on this, it has to be Nityam. Because Nityatvam is within time generally. But what is the superlative Nityam is that on which time itself is dependent on. Let's see the Bhashyam. Yadi asadidam dvaitam kena samanyasam atmatattvam vibudhyate. How am I supposed to know this atmatattvam? All that is here is dvaitam. Fine. You are saying that fine. It is all. This dvaitam is asat. Agreed. You are saying I believe you. That is asat. And you say the sat is brahma. That is atma tattvam. How am I to know that? Through what means? Where do I find it? In which cave it is hidden? Uchyate akalpakam sarva kalpana varjitam. That which is got no changes in it. It doesn't undergo any change. It doesn't modify. In fact, it is all the time still. There is no kalpana on it. There is no creation on it. Varjitam. There is no manifestation also. Then what is the srishti? There is no srishti. Okay. That is why in the earlier verse also it was shown there is ajatis. Ajati was spoken about. Samatam gatam. So there is no, the Srishti is used only to show the Karanam Brahma and the Karyam is Mithya. Mithya means it doesn't exist. Okay. When we say Gatha is Mithya, means Gatha, there is nothing in it called Gatha. Yeah, name and form may be there, but there is no content. Even name and form also is Aupajarikam only. Akalpakam Sarva Kalpana Varjitam. Then what? Ataha eva ajam. Okay. That is why it is ajam. The hetu hetumat is what is provided by Acharya here. Ajam, akalpakam ajam is what is the karika. Bhashyakara says akalpakatvat ajam. Why? Because when something is born means what? Is there anything called birth? Actually, there is no birth. Birth means modification. That's all. No, no, a child is born. Child is born means the food that is eaten by the parents has modified itself into this thing called baby. And the baby also is growing, the teeth is born, nails are born, hair is born. But if you actually look at it, they are also kalpana only, modification, vikalpa only. Anything that you take, even the food, you will say, oh, the fruit was born. Born means again what? You have the photosynthesis, the minerals give you the from these from the earth. It actually takes in food. Trees also modify what exists into food. Animals also eat plants. Anything which you take is only a modification. Nothing new is created out of thin air. That's why entropy is a constant. We say even nothing actually is a new creation. Everything is only a modification, modification. That is why even the life, Shastra says, jiva, it only goes from one place to other. There is no real birth. Everything is, they just undergo changes. So when the change is not there, that is what is ajam. That is what is birth. Okay. So when change is not there, it is ajam. Vikalpana varjitam, therefore ajam. When vikalpa is there, modification is there, then that birth you can say there is birth. Here, why there is no modification? Because there is no avayava, there is no guna. When you have to say something changes into something, you should first change is through an attribute. This was first black in color, you painted it, then it became white in color, so it changed its color. Something was only 5 feet long, it changed into 7 feet thing. Everything is an attribute. Okay, the attribute only means a change. For you to say something changed, it needs to have an attribute. When it is nirgunam, niravayavam, nirakaram, then where is the question of birth? So vikalpana varjitam ataha eva ajam. Therefore it is not born. Then what is it? Jnanam. And this jnanam nyapti matram. In Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, that jnanam is established by the Bhashyakara as prajnapti alone. Jnapti matram. It is the content of the vritti. It's not vritti jnanam. Every jnanam we know is a vritti jnanam. Knowledge means what? A process of change which is undergone within the mind is what is called knowledge. So there is a certain process which happens, like in the CPU of computer. How does something happen? So all your diodes and all that, these digital systems, they have this 1010 and all that, right? So the electrical impulses flow and the various changes happen there, and the process leads to some outcome. So there is a process which happens. Then only 5 plus 2 is calculated as 7. That vritti has to happen in your mind, in your brain, for you to cognize something, for you to think of something, for you to remember something. All that needs a process of change, and that is called vritti, manovritti. The vrittitvam there is a process on a content. Simple. The pot, clay becomes pot by a process. A lump of clay becomes a pot. So there is a process. The content of that process of thing which is changing is only clay. So as a lump also it has a shape, as a pot also it has a shape. Okay. Don't think lump doesn't have a shape. It has an irregular shape. Pot has some kind of a regular shape. Both are shapes, but in both the thing, the content is what is clay. So you don't separate out, you don't need to separate out clay from the lumpness and potness to understand what is clay. Even when it is a lump and when it is a pot, you can recognize that all that is there is only clay. Similarly, you don't have to stop the vritti. Oh, the vritti is not allowing me to see the jnapti. No. When the vritti is there also, jnapti alone is there. The vritti tvam, the process of change, like the waveness, you take it from your mind. Then you can see the water which is there, the content of the wave. Similarly, the jnapti matram, the matra that is used there to show that it is purely one and only the content, all other things taken away from it. That is the Surupa Jnanam. Jnapti matram jneyena paramarthasata brahmana abhinnam prachakshate katayanti brahmavidaha. That prajnapti is the same. When it say abhinna means it is the same as the Brahman which is Paramartha Satyam, that which has to be known. What is sought to be known is Prajnapti only. What you are trying to know through a process, that knowledge, knowing process, the content of it itself is Brahman. Okay, so before you start a vritti of knowing Brahma, on the basis on which this vritti is going to happen is itself Brahma. It's already lost in it. Okay, and that is, talking like this is the way to recognize what it is. Okay, when I say lost means, oh my god, it is already lost, don't think like that. That is not the point. Abhinnam brahmana jneyena abhinnam paramarthasata brahmana prachakshate brahmavidaha. The jnanis, brahmavidaha means shastracharya upadesha. That is what the brahmavid, they, shastra also tells this. Brahmavid also tells. Brahmavid also say what Shastra says, because it's all the same vision. It's aligned. Any jnani talks, it will be same. Because jnanam is same, no? So even if 1800 years back you would have heard from somebody, they will be talking the same thing. The language may be little different, that's all. Not maybe, language would have been different. But content of it is same. Brahma Vidaha will say. So it's a very general statement. See that any Brahmavid will say this. What? Jnayena abhinnam jnanam. Nahi vijñātuhu vijñātehe viparilopaha vidyate. Agni Ushnavate. Wherever there is Ushnam, Agni is there. Or rather, wherever there is Agni, Aushnyam is there. Aushnyam is what is Agni? Agni, fire is because of Indhanam only, fuel. The content, if you put the heat on petrol, it will glow differently. If you put it on, the oil, gingerly oil, it will burn differently. If you put it on some log of wood which is wet, it will burn differently. Okay, but content is what? Same. Vijñātuhu vijñātehe viparilopaha na vidyate. The absence is never there. In Agni, Ushna will never be absent. Then only it is Agni, it's Swarupa. In every fire, Naushnyam will be there. Here, the content of any experience, how can it not have the Vijnapti? Because it is Vijnapti, it is the experience. And the whole world is nothing but experience. It's all Chitsava only. The stage on which your Chit is dancing. And that dance is what is the manifest Jagat. So, absence of Chit in the Chitsava, how is it possible? There is no Jada. See, this is where we have to be very clear. If you recognize this, then that is a Jnanam. Any Jada Vastu. Because most of the other Sampradayas and all, they have a problem with this. Okay, Chit is fine. But all I see is only Jada. In fact, you never see Chit. The only thing you don't see is actually Chit. Whatever you see is only Jadavastu. Because when you say Guna means any Guna is only Jadam. They are all inert. You say that man is moving, but you still see only inert things, right? His hand, his head, his leg. It's all what? So they will say there is so much inertness here. If you say everything is Chaitanya, what about this inertness? But look at it the other way. The inertness is what? Inertness experience only is inertness. So how do you say that there is an inert object? There is a wall. Because there is wall consciousness. There is a wall consciousness in which the experience of wall is a content. Is a not, I would say, if I say that is a content, then that jnapti is the content. It is the object of that that vritti. Okay. Now that is basically the wall atmaka vritti is there. And that vritti alone is making you clinch the wall. Okay. The clinched knowledge we talk about, right? There are two types of vritti we say, right? So the two types of vyapti, vritti vyapti and phala vyapti we talk about. Okay. Anyway, that is a little technical thing. Basically, any object to be clinched, you need to have prajnapti only. So when I say there is nothing called inert object, there is only inert object vritti, and that content of that vritti is prajnapti. So there is no inert object which is separate from jnapti srupa. And everything is an experience, whether it is a objectifying an inert object or having an emotion or there is a joy or whatever it is, everything is an emotion, and there in that experience the vijnatu is there, and in that vijnatu surupa there is never the absence of vijnata vijnati vijnatehe vijnatuhu viparilopaha na vidyate. There is no viparilopaha of vijnapti. Therefore it is all the time there, Agni Ushnavat. So this whole thing, all the three quotations that Bhashyakara is giving is about Vijnanam, Vijnanam, Vijnanam. Because what is he trying to say? The Jnanam is Nyaya Vinnam. The Nyayam Brahma is the Jnanam only. For that he gives just three. There is also Prajnanam Brahma, all that is there. So here, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma, Brihadaranyaka. विज्ञानं ब्रह्म आनंदम सत्यम ज्ञानम आनंदम ब्रह्म तैत्तिरीय उपनिषद इत्यादि श्रुतिभ्यः. So ज्ञानमेव ब्रह्म is there. तस्यैव विशेषणं ब्रह्म ज्ञेयं यस्य स्वस्थं तदिदं ब्रह्म ज्ञेयम् औष्ण्यस्यैव अग्निवत् अभिन्नं तेन आत्मस्वरूपेण अजेन ज्ञानेन अजं ज्ञेयम् आत्मतत्त्वं स्वयमेव विबुध्यते अवगच्छति. Second line he is explaining brahma jneyam ajam yasya jneyam yasya, for the person to whom the brahma is jneyam, swastam tadidam, for that person's jnapti alone is brahma. औष्ण्य औष्ण्यस्यैव अग्निवत् अभिन्नं तेन आत्मस्वरूपेण अजेन ज्ञानेन अभिन्नम्. Okay, atmaswarupena ajena. Why aja we saw? Because there is no kalpana on it. It is prajnapti alone, that atmaswarupa. Tena ajam jneyam atmatattvam. How is it known? Swayameva vibudhyate. Because there is no vritti needed. In fact, what is the vritti? What kind of vritti will be there? It will come once as akhandagara vritti. To do what? To just cut off the ignorance about it. So that ignorance alone, that's why vidyate hridaya grantihi chidyate sarva samshayaha. It just burns the ignorance away. You don't have to show that this is Brahma. You cannot show that this is Brahma because it is you, it is a very content, it is never shown as this. So, what needs to be removed is only the ignorance. Once the dust is removed, the self effulgent will become evident. In fact, it is already evident only, just that you don't recognize what it is until that cover is removed. Ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Only ignorance is removed. Jnanam is never utpadyam. That may be true for any other knowledge also. Ignorance removal can be shown as knowledge. But that is more. See, for example, I'll tell you. Let's say in on the moon, in the craters, the gold is there, for example. I'm just giving them. Now, suppose that knowledge came to you through some satellite. So you can say, oh, my ignorance about what was there in the crater of the moon only went away. Not that a new knowledge has happened. That's okay. That is one kind of statement about jnanam and ajnanam. But in this case, it is Atma Vastu. In fact, Atma has been evident to you because that is you. You can never say, I never knew Atma. Okay. It is only a certain coloring which is there, which creates that limitation and the difference between you and the other things. That covering, which is, it's a partial covering. Okay. It's not a total cover because to some extent, Atma is known. In fact, every now and then when you experience happiness, you are recognizing that fullness actually without knowing that you are actually getting to that fullness. Okay, and to some extent in the deep sleep also you are one with that. Therefore, and when you are going doing some meditation every now and then you have sometimes what is that, recognize certain state. That's Brahman only. Between every two thoughts, what is only Brahman? Okay, so here it's a Swaprakasha Vastu. It was being seen all the time by you. It's just that you don't recognize what it is. So that is because you take it as something else. So in this case, when we say the removal of ignorance, you have to see a very different perspective here. It is not about some ignorance going away about some gold knowledge in the crater of the moon. That is not what we are talking about here. Swaprakasha Vastu. Therefore, we say that only, not when we say Shastra says that ignorance removal alone is needed because Atma is Swaprakasha. That's why here, how is it known? He doesn't even say by removal of ignorance. He says, Ajena Ajam Vibhudyate. Jnanena Ajam Nyayam Swayameva Vibhudyate Avagachati. Because all that is there is only that Swarupa. Nitya Prakasha Swarupaha iva Savita iva, like the sun, it is Nitya Prakasha Swarupa. Even in the night, sun is glowing only it's on the other side. Okay. Sun just is what it is. It is the earth problem that you see it only half of the time in a day. Okay. That is not sun's problem. Sun never set, it never rise. Okay. The sun, not only in British Empire, everywhere there is sun doesn't rise or set. It is just there. In fact, rising and setting, it doesn't even know. If you go and ask the sun how many days you have been rising, how many days you are going through the sunset so far, you ask, he'll say, sun will say, no, I never had a sunrise or sunset. I am what I am. Just Nitya Prakasha Swarupaha. That's all. You turn and you become a day, night, whatever in earth. Other planets maybe some other way. Satellite some other way you experience. Your experience is due to your issues, not sun's issue. Similarly, here your buddhi upadhi has all this ignorance and notions, all kinds of things. But Surupa is Surupa. It doesn't undergo any change, nor is it's constricted with anything. So it is Suparkasa Swata Siddha Nitya Buddha Mukta Swabhavam. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhava is what is Brahma Swarupa. Savita Nitya Vijnana Ekarasa na Jnanantaram Apekshate. Why do you need something else? In fact, that which employs the something else, that content itself is the Brahman only. So there is no, if it is to be lighted up as an external thing, maybe you can try one or the other. Here is Swaprakasha Vastu. Nigrihitasya manasaha nirvikalpasya dhimatah pracharasatu vijñeyaha sushuptenyo nasatsamaha. It is very interesting now. This now is going to talk about the whole Jivan Mukti Avastha. Okay, that is what is being, the whole thing is Jivan Mukti only now. Because the Amani Bhava and the Surupa is spoken about, the entire thing is resolved. All the Dvaita Bhava is resolved and the mind is purely on this. The mind has been made Amani. There is no mind. The person is rooted in Surupa. That kind of a thing, Nigrihitasya Manasaha, where in Nirvikalpe, that when the Surupa is standing there without any grahya grahaka veda, then that kind of a mind, how is it? Pracharaha vijñeyaha. That mind has to be understood. That is, how does it is to be understood? So that at least you recognize what is the Jivan Mukta Avastha. Vijñeyaha sushupte anyaha natat samaha. It is not like deep sleep. We are not talking about deep sleep kind of a thing, because in deep sleep also there is no mana, there is no vritti. So here also you are saying there is no mana, it is Amani Bhava, no vritti. Is it same as Sushupti? It is not what is being shown here, because here you are in the Vakan, still in this Jagat, but then as purely Brahma. There is nothing else. There is no mind. There is no Jagat. Where even if there is something happening around you, you see that as only the Brahman. There is no seeing. It is just still in Brahman. You can be eating, but you are still in Brahman. You can be walking, you are still in Brahman. That is Sahaja. Sahaja Nishta, we say. Or in some cases, people, some jnanis may choose to just stay still. That's it. Sit somewhere in guha or some in room. Aratir Janasamsadi. Not wanting to be with people and all that. That is also okay, but it is not necessary. It is helpful, because your distractions, so long as your mental distractions you have done away with, you can avoid worldly disturbance also, so that you don't give chance for your needing to take up every now and then the vyavahar avastha. Bhashikara once spoke about, right? I think in this Mandukya only, where the person is what is it, is either moving or not moving, um, or some, I think here or in Bhagavad Gita, I'm not very sure, where he is talking about, a jnani sometimes take the, once in a while he had to come back into the Dvaita Bhava so that he can do transaction or something like that. Okay. There was one reference to it. Anyway, if you don't want that also, and you want just to be in the Nishtha, then the person may actually choose to be in isolation. Or the person may still be wandering every here and there, but be in Nishtha. Even when you are seeing the tree is seen as Brahman. In Bhagavad Gita, in when there is this verse where yato yato nischarati tatastato niyamya, when Bhagavan is talking about bringing the mind back. So Bhashyakara says bringing the mind back is not like if it has gone out to the, suppose I'm sitting here, I'm trying to do meditation, my mind has gone on to the laptop. It's not like, oh, no, 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 leave the laptop, bring the mind back onto Brahman. That's not how he says. He says, when you are seeing a laptop, see that laptop is also Brahma only. It is Brahma. That is a fact. Now, whatever you think you are seeing other than Brahma, just see the fact that that is also Brahma. Once you start seeing that, then how can you go away from Brahma? Anything you see is Brahma only. And that Nishtha when somebody has, then where is Manas? There is no Sankalpa. When there is no Sankalpa, then there is no Vyavahara. That mind becomes Amani. That Pracharanam Pracharaha, what it is, you need to understand. Atma Satyanubodhena Sankalpamakurvate Bahya Vishaya Abhave Nirindhana Agnivate Prashantam Sat Nigrihitam Niruddham Manaha Bhavati iti Uktam. So already what was told? Nigrihitam Niruddham Manaha. Yogaha Chittavritti Nirodha. We said this Niruddham Manaha was spoken about. The mind which has been resolved. I don't want to say it has been restrained. Nigrihitam, brought into its own nature. How can you bring it into its nature? Wherever it is, you show that it is what is it is its nature only. Atma Satya Anubodhena. The Satyatvam is shown. What is the reality? That Atma Satya Bodha, through that Sankalpa Makurvate. There is no Sankalpa because I want this, I want that, this, that, I am different from that. All that is gone because there is no Bahya Vishaya Bhave. Everything is Brahma. Only if there is anything other than it, then there can be a Bahya. Everything is Abhyantara only because there is only one thing. So if there is no Bahya, there is no Sankalpa, then Nirindhana Agnivate. When there is no fuel, what happens to the fire? The heat. Prashantam. It is only latent. It is not seen. It's as though gone. It's in a matchstick. That's all. It is Nirindana Agnivate and Prashantam. Prashanta. Shanti is what is in Gita. Shanti is what is word used by Bhagavan so many times. Shashanti Mapnoti. The Shanti is the Jivan Mukti Avastha. That is where everything resolves. It's the calmness. All attributes resolved. Everything resolved. There is no vritti, there is no manas. Like Smashana. Smashana is Shiva. We are seeing that in one other Purana. Because Shiva is Mangala, but he is also Smashanavasi. Why? Because all the attributes are gone. It is not there. Prashantam. Like we see, in the Smashana there is Shanti. There is no sound. They all resolved. There is no movement. There may be so many bodies dying buried, but there is full Shanti because all attributes and cheshta is resolved. I'm not trying to say Jnani Savastha is like Smashana, just to give an equivalence. And because all attributes resolved, nirindana agnivat prashantam. But that it's not like amangala smashanavate, but it is Shivam, Bhadram. It is the most sacred because there is no mala, there is Shanti, there is Sukhananda, Swarupa, which is all the time the peace when the whole world is around you as though still there is peace because there is no Dvaita. Dvaita only is Ashanti. So Nigrihitam Niruddham Manaha Bhavati iti Uktam. That has been shown. Evam cha manasaha hi amani bhave dvaita bhavascha uktaha. When this amani bhava has happened, there is no dvaita. तस्य एवं निगृहीतस्य निरुद्धस्य मनसः निर्विकल्पस्य सर्वकल्पनावर्जितस्य धीमतः विवेकवतः. The धीमान is viveki. Dhi means buddhi, the one who has discriminatory ability and who can gain this jnanam, pracharanam, pracharaha, yaha. How does that buddhi move? Satu pracharaha visheshena jnayaha vijnayaha yogi bihi. The yogis who haven't gained that yet need to understand what? Evam nigrihitasya niruddhasya. That mind which has been resolved like that, nirvikalpasya, sarva, whatever we just spoke about today, that kind of a mind, sarva kalpana varjitasya, that kind of a person's mind, how does it work? How is it? You have to cognize that. Why you have to cognize as a yogi? When it comes, you can know. No? Why should I try and cognize it now? Because then only you can be clear as to what is the goal. Where do I need to land? Otherwise, many people have this. Guruji, do you think I already have jnanam or I'm still in the process? So whatever I understood, you think it is correct only that this is how I understood what you said today. People come and ask, okay, is this the jnanam? Is this exactly the jnanam that you are? If you are asking that question, means you are still little away only, right? Because this is a clinched knowledge. Clinched knowledge means this jnanam when it happens, you know that you know. There is no way you don't know that you know. Okay. So when you have doubt means it is you are in the process. Okay. We don't want to say that you don't know, but yes, you are still not, your knowledge is still not complete. Okay. Okay. This jnanam, it will be make itself clear because by ajena ajam vibudhyate. Your Swarupa just shows itself. There can't be any doubt about it when it happens. So, but this doubt and all comes because you are not clear. I wouldn't say very clear. You are not even having any um, reasonable account of what this jnanam is about. So that's why people make wrong choices. They say, oh, for you, moksha is through jnanam because you are intellectual. I am emotional, so I will, for me, bhakti is enough. I'll do some bhajanai and I will gain. Okay, for me, jnanam is not the route. I will go through bhakti yoga. All this, why they say? They are mental. One is they are meant. They feel that it is too complicated. Okay, they don't want to understand, learn Sanskrit. All that they think these are all very complex stuff. Atmajnanam, moksha. They wouldn't say Atmajnanam. Moksha should be a simple stuff, and Bhagavan should be able to help me. Right? Like the cub holding on to the mother versus mother holding on to the cub, all that, right? So it should be easy. Why should I get into all this? Therefore, I will, the many ways of getting to this. All that people talk about, right? Because they have not even reasonable understanding of what is the goal. So there is a mumukshuttam but not jijnasuttam. So you need to have a reasonable idea. That's why here it is said, you need to understand what is the state about pracharanam. You may not exactly know. If you exactly know, you are already a jnani. But at least you know reasonably, like with some kind of, you know, aspects to be clarified, but at least roughly, you know. See, right now, whether you right now know Brahman or not, but you know Brahmajnana means I need to know all that is here is me. Okay, to some extent, you know that, right? So that is the minimum. Then that jnanam has to come. It's not I am not this body is not the jnanam. I am all that is here is the jnanam. Now that jnanam, at least you should know, okay, that is what is the goal. That jnanam is to be clinched. And Shastra will help me gain that. Like that, this pracharanam, how is that buddhi is to be known by yogi bihi. Nanu sarva pratyaya bhave adrishaha sushuptihi सुषुप्तिस्तस्य मनसः प्रचारः तादृशः एव निरुद्धस्यापि प्रत्ययाभाव अविशेषात्. So in the case of deep sleep also there is no pratyaya, there is no experience, right? Grahya grahaka bhava is not there. It's all one ghana, tamo ghanam. Similarly here also you are saying nothing will be there. So what is the difference? Kim tatra vignayam iti. What is that to be known? Atra uchyate na evam. It's not like that. Yasmat sushupte anyah pracharaha avidya moha tamograstasya antarleena aneka anartha pravritti bija vasanavataha manasaha atma satyanubodha hutasha viplushta avidya अविद्यादि अनर्थ प्रवृत्ति बीजस्य निरुद्धस्य अन्यः एव प्रशांत सर्व क्लेश रजसः स्वतंत्रः प्रचारः अतः न तत्समः. He uses two big compounds, one to show what is sushupti. The first one is not a fully compound. These are two compounds. Pracharaha avidya moha tamograstasya, one word. अंतर्लीन अनेकानर्थ प्रवृत्ति बीज वासनावतो मनसः. Okay, this is one. This is what sushupti. Avidya moha tamograstah, that person. Antarleena aneka anartha pravritti bija vasana vataha manasa. That mind, his mind is what? With all these things. We will see that in the next class. Okay. Then what happens to that person? Briefly we will see now. Atma satya anubodha hutasha viplushta avidyadi anartha pravritti bijasya niruddhasya. So the bija, which is what? Atma satya anubodha. This Atma satya is evident to this person. Hutasa viplushta avidyadi anartha pravritti bija. The person has burnt the seed. What seed? Avidya anartha seed. Pravritti seed is burnt by that person in this bodha. That person is the niruddha. For that person there is no avidya bija. Whereas the person who is in deep sleep, there is avidya bija. Okay, also this is an alert mind. You are awake and you are awake to the reality. That is the person who is nigrihita. Whereas the person who is in sleep, he is overpowered by tamas. You can't compare the two. Ataha natat samaha. So we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
धन्यवाद गुरुवर.